Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Every story in the Torah is a lesson for the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And here we are 3,700 years later reading these stories, and they provide guidance for us until this very day. It feels like this week's Torah portion is a story that we're living through at this very time in Jewish history. This week's Torah portion, we read the story of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Now, Abraham was the founder of Judaism and monotheism, and he had dug wells, the Torah says, in the land of the Philistines, which is the land of Israel. And after he died, the Philistines, to deny his rights and his heritage in the land of Israel, stopped up, sealed off, clogged up these wells. And the Torah spends a great deal of time in this week's Torah portion discussing how Isaac went about redigging all the wells that his father had dug. And then goes on to say, Vayikra lahem shemot kashemot asher kara lahem aviv. He renamed each and every well with the name that his father had originally named that well. And what the Torah is telling us is that sometimes our enemies, in their hatred for us, in their anti-Semitism, will cut their nose to spite their face. Here they have a well, which is a resource for water, for life, for vitality. But to deny the Jewish people their rights to their land, they will destroy and clog up a well and deny themselves these very precious resources just in hate and in spite. And as you know, hatred destroys the hater more than the one you hate. As someone once said, it's like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. Or as someone said, hating someone is letting your enemy live in your head rent-free, and I'm not such a nice guy. And therefore, time and again in history, anti-Semites in their hatred for Jews have harmed themselves just to not allow Jews to live in peace. And therefore they have persecuted them and expelled them, denying themselves the blessings, the living water, the fresh resources of life that the Jewish people provided. But what does Isaac teach us? Isaac teaches us that as Jewish people, we have to persevere. And with determination and resilience, we have to redig the wells of our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors. And while it's much easier to be Abraham, to go on a new journey, Lech Lecha, a new dawn, a new horizon, a new vision for mankind, for civilization, to establish something new, it is much more difficult to rebuild what others destroyed. But the message of Isaac is that we have to be able to rebuild the destruction. And that's what our generation did. After the Holocaust, we rebuilt the Jewish nation by going back to Israel, rebuilding Israel. And now after October 7th, we are all Isaacs, rebuilding the destruction that was caused by the hatred of our enemies. And yes, the mission now is to rebuild all the communities in the Gaza envelope, all the kibbutzim, and all the communities in the north that have been evacuated, to reestablish them, to bring the families back, to rebuild those communities, and tragically to rebuild all the broken and shattered lives since October 7th. And that is the Isaac generation, to rename, to rebuild, to rededicate ourselves to our parents, to the memory of the past. There was a Brit Milah last week in Israel, very emotional Brit Milah circumcision. There was a IDF officer who on October 7th ran down south to save lives, and he went to kibbutz Nir Oz, and he saved many, many lives. But unfortunately, there were many lives that he could not save. And the first home he came into was the Kedem family, beautiful couple, Yonatan and Tamar, and their 2 daughters and their son, 5 members of the family. When they came into the safe room, he found them all suffocated because the terrorists set the house on fire, and they died all together, holding on to each other from smoke annihilation. And tragically, not only did this beautiful family of 5 members perish on October 7th, but Yonatan, the father's mother, was in her house in the kibbutz, and she was also murdered by the terrorists on that evil day. And Tragically, a week later, all 6 members of the same family were laid to rest together in a joint funeral. An entire family went up in flames, a Holocaust. Well, this IDF officer, high-ranking officer, now was blessed with his wife to give birth to a son. And at the Brit Milah, he named the son Kedem Tzuri, after the family, the Kedem family. And then he added the word Tzuri, my rock. And when he spoke at the Brit Milah, he said that I will carry on the legacy, the memory of this family. And this little boy, my son, will always look to Kedem. The word Kedem means to the east, to the new light that will dawn for the Jewish people. And he will look to Tzuri, my rock, Almighty God. And with the strength of God, we will rebuild. And we will carry on the memory of all those who were killed on October 7th. And that is the message of being an Isaac, redigging those wells with determination, with perseverance, and renaming them to carry on the names of the communities and the families and each and every Jewish soul that was taken from us. And through the work of Isaac, here we are 3,700 years later, still drinking from those living waters of Abraham. So too all future descendants will prevail, just like Isaac prevailed. And ultimately the Philistines acquiesced, and he named the well Rechovot, expansion, because finally he was able to teach and show the Philistines who's in charge. And ultimately they submitted to his will and acquiesced and acknowledged his rights to the land of Israel. May that day come soon, speedily, for the people and the Jewish people in Israel today. Have a Shabbat Shalom.